All right, I believe that we're feeding through here to the folks right now. Let me see. Yes, I think we're feeding through. While we're waiting for confirmation of that, let us know if there's any issues with the audio and all that kind of stuff so we can get it fixed before we get into the mix here. I want to remind everyone to go to hankstrange.com, sign up for the email list. Very, very important thing to do so we can keep up with you, let you know what's going on with us, let you know Lola's working on deals and all kinds of things out there. If we get moved around, if we get shut down somewhere, hankstrange.com is the place to go. The email list is the place to be. That being said, I also want to thank Harry's Holsters for sponsoring the show. You can see the code is Hank Strange that you can use at Harry's Holsters. It gives you 10% off, so please use that. And let's see, let's get the show lined up here. Let's get everyone in, and I will hit the open button and get everything going here. Let's see.
Welcome back to the Hank Strange Situation. Lifestyles.
Make sure that you guys subscribe here to the channel, ring the bell so you can be notified every time we go live. Okay, so Holly, you're brand new here on the podcast. We do this thing called jazz hands like this. We get it going, break the ice. There we go, jazz hands, everyone. All right, I hope you guys out there have your big girl panties on because we are live. This is episode 607 of the Who Moved My Freedom podcast. Our special guest, there she goes, Holly Sullivan, is joining us from Connecticut Citizens Defense League. She's the president. She will be here to bring us up to speed with what's going on in Connecticut. Welcome, Holly, to the show.
Well, thanks for having me. Happy to be here.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Also joining us, we've got Richard from BWE Firearms. He looks very happy, of course.
Because I was just fed.
Yeah. And we've got and Richard is in Florida, and we've got young Dylan, Dale Speck. He's joining us from Kentucky. What's up, Dylan?
Thanks for having me on, Hank.
Oh, absolutely. Thanks for coming back here. We enjoy having you on. All right, so welcome everyone to the show. Welcome to all the folks out there. Please smash those thumbs ups, ring the bell so you can be notified every time we go live. Like I said, share this with your friends out there if you can. We appreciate all that kind of stuff. If you have questions for Holly Sullivan here, we'll be able to take those. Can I call you Holly?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, I'm just making sure, don't want
to called worse.
Yeah, uh-oh. We have to hunt those people down. Oh, Lola says your camera looks foggy. I don't know. Maybe we could. There you go. There you go. Is that better, Lola? Are you happy now?
Let me see.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. We have to wait for approval from Lola. Yeah. So smash those thumbs ups, like I said, guys. First of all, like we usually do here when we have a new guest, I think the first question is, can you explain to the folks out there who you are and exactly what is Connecticut Citizens Defense League? I know it's been around for some time, actually.
Yeah, we've been around for more than a decade. So the Connecticut Citizens Defense League is the most active gun rights organization in the state of Connecticut. We are sometimes known as the Constitution State, but it sure doesn't feel like that these days. Mm-hmm. So really, we are a legislative action organization. We have a board of 19 individuals that run this incredible group, and we're all volunteers and just work really, really hard to protect the rights of the residents of the state of Connecticut. Not only our Second Amendment rights, but in the state of Connecticut, we have a state constitution that further gives us the right to keep and bear arms. And, we're in constant vigilance of all sorts of bills that come out. And I can tell you that every legislative session, there are dozens of bills that come out that we are tasked with making sure that they don't move forward, or if they actually are a pro-2A bill, to do all that we can to support them and the legislators that put those forward. We work heavily to get our people involved in campaigns and be involved in lawsuits and things along those lines. So really exciting. There are, believe it or not, 37,000 members in this organization. So this is not a small group. And we're excited about the work that we do.
Okay, awesome. And I think you are the first female president of the Ccdl. How did you manage to pull that off?
Well, when you've got a group of supporters like I do, I mean, I'll tell you, it's so funny. People say that, like, well, you're the first female president. I'm like, I wouldn't be president if it wasn't for all these great guys that helped me get there. I couldn't ask for a better support team, and the majority of the board are male, but of course we also have women on the board as well. But really, gender isn't an issue. It's really not what it's about. What's it matter? It's about who's there and in the fight. So I'm only the second president, so I don't want to make that claim as if it's like some big thing.
That's true, right? If you think about it, there's only been two. There's only been two so far.
So 50-50 batting average.
Yeah.
Right. So, but it's great. I mean, I have to say the guys that have supported me in getting here have been fantastic.
Okay, half the presidents have been men, half the presidents have been women. It's all equity,
right?
As they say out there. Okay, go ahead, Rich.
Holly, you're supposed to say you're the first woman president and you're the longest serving woman president. That's how you got to spin it.
Yeah.
This is very true. All statements are true. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, you can really take that and go far with it. Okay, awesome. So, and can you give us some background of what you've been doing in Connecticut so far as the Second Amendment? I think I saw somewhere that you were a firearms instructor. What kind of, is that accurate? What kind of stuff have you been up to in the gun community here?
Yeah, so I am an NRA certified instructor, although I'll tell you that since becoming president of Ccdl, there's not a whole lot of time to run classes or even get to the range as much as I used to. I am a member of a range where we have to do our range duty pretty often, so that certainly keeps me still on the range, but maybe not as much in the bay as much as I would like to be instead of working it. And, at the end of the day, for me, I think it's, what's kind of interesting is if you live in a state like New York, New Jersey, California, Connecticut, you get it that your fight never ends. It's constant. And if you live in a state that's a freer state, it's a lot easier to kind of forget a little bit about how bad it can get. So, however you're spending your time, move the industry forward, move the community forward. And in a state like this, it's a full-time job. So for these group of individuals that run this organization and our volunteers, the amount of hours that go in probably are a full part-time job for each and every one of us. And then for me, of course, as president, it's maybe even just more time, not necessarily that I do more work, but more time commitment. And I think that's necessary that states like this have that kind of vigilance, because what happens here is eventually coming to every other state. And it's so important to watch what's happening in places like this so that you can be prepared for what's heading your way. And we are trying to hold that ground.
Yes, absolutely. I'll throw up this comment here from Walt Cupson. He says, Holly works so hard for CCDL. So there you go. Thanks for that input. Yeah, we appreciate that. Listen, I grew up in New York, tri-state area. I think out of the in the tri-state area, Connecticut was probably better known for gun things. I mean, New York's really tough, especially in New York City. New Jersey, not that much better. And Connecticut used to be a lot better. Can you bring us up to speed with what's going on in Connecticut currently? What are the big battlegrounds that you guys have going on there so far as the Second Amendment?
Yeah, so I mean, as of course everybody knows, when the incident happened at Sandy Hook, it changed everything here in Connecticut, and it's not just for gun owners. I mean, everybody in this state was impacted by that, and I think people around the country were impacted by it. But we live it day to day. What came out of that was a piece of legislation called SB 1160. We refer to it still as a Senate bill. And SB 1160 was a three-pronged piece of legislation. It essentially said that there were going to be restrictions on firearms, magazines, etc. And that passed, as did the other two parts of the bill, which was funding for mental health and school security. The only piece of that piece of legislation that's been upheld is the restrictions on gun owners. The mental health has not been funded, and schools are still not in compliance with school safety here in the state of Connecticut. So for gun owners, we have been fighting this uphill battle since then. So we have very stringent limitations on the firearms that we can own. We can't have magazines that load past 10 rounds. You have to have a permit not only to buy a firearm, you have to have a permit to buy ammunition. So you can't even walk into your local gun store and buy a single round of 22 off the shelf unless you've been background checked. And that's all part of that permit process. The permit's expensive. It takes quite a long time to get. So the town is supposed to issue it to you within 8 weeks. It doesn't always happen that way. So things are hard here in the state of Connecticut after that piece of legislation. And I think one of the frustrations for gun owners here is we were supposed to have this bill that was going to fix it all, and it would never happen again. But only one out of the 3 parts was actually ever implemented.
Yeah.
Mental health is not funded, and schools are still not compliant. There are still schools in this state that have not met their obligations. So why are we the only ones that had to do our part? And every single year, more and more legislation comes out that is just harder and harder. We were the very first state in the country to have red flag gun laws. We've had them since the 1990s. We've been living with it for a long time. We have temporary restraining orders and ex parte restraining orders. There is a legislator out there right now that wants to tax us 35% on ammunition and take that money and fund anti-gun groups with our tax money at 35% of ammunition. So you can imagine for people in the shooting sports how expensive it will be to do those things. We lost bump stocks before the rest of the nation lost bump stocks. So, that's why I really encourage people to pay attention. I mean, I get it. Trust me, there used to be a time that I used to have time to flip through magazines and just peruse in the gun store. And it really kind of clicked that, like, that amount of time that you spend obsessed, like looking at holsters, and I love it, don't get me wrong, you got to put that same amount of time into being able to keep that stuff. Or what's it for? Yeah.
I think we've seen, they've used Connecticut as a blueprint around the country. Every time something bad happens, right, and the gun is blamed for it instead of the people, or the mismanagement or negligence of law enforcement, let's say, for example, not following up on things like we had here in Florida, the gun gets blamed, we get a bunch of laws, they're all restrictive to the people, and then, like you said, in Connecticut, the things that they say, oh, we're going to do this, we're going to make schools safer, all the things that allow the politicians we think are on our side, that they say, oh, we're giving them that, but we're getting this. They never actually do that, right? So, right. By the way, Vanessa Kitty, a longtime person here in the chat supporting the podcast, she says she's a member of Ccdl.
Hi.
So yeah, there you go. I think that we see that everywhere, and people really need to be aware of that and trying to do something. I don't think we can all do the same thing, right? Obviously, so everyone's got different skills, everyone's capable of doing different things, but we need to make sure that we're out there fighting this, because really in the end, all they want to do is put these restrictions on us. So specifically, what does the Ccdl, what do you guys do in Connecticut to fight for the Second Amendment?
Yeah, definitely. So right now, as we head into election season, this is a huge time for us. So we're in the midst of actually we've gone through every single legislator that's currently serving in our state capitol. We have looked at the last 7 or 8 years of their voting history and recorded every Second Amendment vote that they've taken and whether they're with us or against us. They've all been ranked and rated, and we're about to roll that out to our members, because every politician will get in front of you and say, I stand for the Second Amendment. Of course I support the Second Amendment. Well, we're going to show you how they voted over the last decade. So you can actually see, just because they said that, did they support you with bump stocks? Did they support you in those bigger bills? Even other things. We have vehicle safe storage requirements, things like that. We've looked at all of that so that we have almost a decade's worth of voting history that our members can say, wait a second, you said you support the Second Amendment. Why did you vote this way? So it's not just words, it's the facts. And then the same thing with the candidates, is we're going through the candidates and they're being surveyed very similarly like the NRA does, so that our voters can make an educated vote when we get later in the fall, that they know who they're voting for and whether they're really going to support them. Because we're not going to change the way the legislature votes until we change who's in those seats. So that's something that we're working on right now. Tremendous amount of work has gone into it by our vice president and some of the other members of the board. Of course, we also have some lawsuits out there. We have 2 lawsuits right now. We just filed a lawsuit against the governor of the state of Connecticut. Essentially what happened when the coronavirus pandemic happened, he suspended a requirement in the state of Connecticut that the police departments complete fingerprinting. You can't get your permit unless you are fingerprinted in our state. So he said that the police departments do not have to fingerprint you. So for anybody who is trying to get their permit during this whole coronavirus period, they've not even been able to submit an application. So it's been essentially a de facto ban on your ability to exercise your Second Amendment rights. And as I mentioned earlier, you can't even buy ammunition. So even if you're, even if you've got, you have a family firearm that's just in your home, you can't even go out and buy a round to defend yourself without that piece of plastic. So we did win that temporary injunction. So the governor was forced to lift that ban, and we are still working through the remainder of that lawsuit.
Oh, okay. Do you know how many people does that affect? So right now the ban's lifted, right? So people can actually go forward and get their CCW, right?
Yep, they can. Yep.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, so I'm just trying to throw some news up of that here, but it's still ongoing. So how long do you think this process is going to take before this is all dealt with?
So there's a couple pieces to the lawsuit. There's the temporary injunction, which is almost kind of like an emergency order, right? And that's what we sought. We needed it to be really timely. We sought that temporary injunction. That part is done. A federal judge ordered that the governor had to lift his ban. Then there's a whole other portion that deals with the damages and the people that were affected and how they were damaged by his order, and all of those plaintiffs that were involved in that case. So that's still all unraveling. And
Okay. Yeah, we'll keep an eye on that. So let me see here. I'm trying to keep track of the of the comments here. So I know Vanessa Kitty has a lot of comments that she said they work on stopping it. Let me see. I'll throw this up so we can get that go up here. They work on stopping it, change legislation, propose every single session, and the governor's crazy proclamations against our self-defense. So there you go. And then Brian Quick says, we have people advocating for you to not have control over your own face. They want everything that goes pew-pew. And Mr. Lovell says, that's awesome. I'm sure he's talking about the lawsuit there. He says, that's awesome. Keep these people accountable. So there you go. So it's a weird thing, right? Like Connecticut is a place where there were a lot of the firearms industry was there, right, guys? Rich, this we've had. Yep. Let's see, who can we? I know there's Colt,
Stag Arms,
Ruger, Connecticut
Winchester.
Shotgun. Okay, yeah. There's all these different places. I even visited like Connecticut Shotgun, for example. And, they were making ARs at one point that the people who work there cannot even buy.
Yep.
That's really, it's really an insane situation what's happened. And I think that's probably chased a lot of those businesses out of there, right?
Oh, it definitely has. It's a problem, yeah.
I mean, how... when did this all really start getting bad? Does anyone have an idea of when, I think we've seen a lot of Colt's probably still there, right?
Yeah, Colt is not as big as it was, but Colt is still here.
Yeah.
Really, Sandy Hook was really a huge turning point for us. PTR Industries, they left not too long after that. I think they left in maybe 2015. They went down to the Carolinas. It's a problem. And people told this guy that just was such a genius. This heritage is here and we should be proud of it, but instead gun owners in this state are shamed. Without question. If you are not on the side of the antis and the moms who demand action, you are the enemy and you are hateful, and they just don't understand.
Yeah. Let's see here. Vanessa Kitty says stags leaving us for safer pastures. I think I heard about that. Where's Stag Arms going to? I'm trying to remember exactly where they're going to. Maybe somewhere. Is it in the South? Is it Arizona? I don't know. That's so how is it? I know you were part of the DC project, right? We had Diane Muller on here a few weeks ago. What's that? Go ahead.
Sorry to interrupt. I think they're going to Wyoming.
Wyoming. Okay. Yeah. That's too bad. Okay, so listen, on the subject of everyone leaving, right? This has happened. I grew up in New York. I wound up leaving there. I went to New Jersey. It wasn't any better. A lot worse. Came to Florida. And then even there's things coming in here to Florida, like I said. What do you really think about this? There's a lot of people who get sick and tired of it and they leave. Everyone can't do that. Ultimately, people have to stand and fight, not just where they are, even around the country. How do you look at this whole thing? Have you ever thought about leaving? And
I think about leaving a lot, but at the end of the day, it's like a disease. If you don't stay and deal with it, it will only get bigger and harder to deal with down the road. So I'm sure you are seeing that in states like Florida, that all of these Northerners come south and then they bring these ideologies with them. We hear it all the time. I can't believe this is happening here. You can't just leave and think that ideology is going to stay contained in the Northeast or on the far West Coast. That's not how it works. As these people look for tax havens and nicer climates, they're also going to bring the policies that destroyed their home states with them. So if people don't stay where they are and stay committed to the fight, it's only going to get bigger faster. But there's definitely a part of me that can't wait for southern temperatures one of these days, especially come February. I'm very envious when we've got feet of snow. But at the end of the day, there's a lot of work that has to be done here.
Yeah. And let me just say, you are so right on that, because so many people, like I live in Kentucky, so many people say, oh, well, that'll never happen in Kentucky. And we just elected a governor that if he had his way, he would make us very similar to Connecticut, maybe even worse. And so many people, like when the thing went down in Florida about 2 years ago or a year ago, people were asking Hank, they said, are you going to move out of the state of Florida? I remember them all asking that. And this whole idea of moving, we're running out of places to hide to. And, so many people, people don't realize that the gun grabbers, they have shifted their tactics. They realize that under Obama, we did such a good job for the most part of stopping things on a federal level, that they can just get the ball rolling on the state level, use the state as a testing ground, and then that gives them the blueprint, if it passes, to do it in every other state. And that's how I think we're up to 17 states with red flag laws in the past year or two.
Yeah.
I mean, it's spreading like wildfire.
Yeah, well-funded, so and they're sharing information really well.
You're very good for still wanting to fight in your state, because, like you said, the battle is never over. No matter how much they take away, it's still the battle is not over. And like the state that I live in Kentucky, so many people, it makes me so mad how they think that we're safe automatically. And I see Kentucky in a few years having some things come down similar to Florida. I really do. And it's gonna kill me, but I will not move. I will stay here, and I will.
Wasn't California a cowboy state at some point? I mean, it could definitely happen anywhere.
And look at the state of Tennessee. They have an all Republican legislator and governor, and they can't get constitutional carry passed. Neither can Texas. I mean, there is a big problem right now, even in the supposed pro-gun states. I mean, we're losing a lot of ground.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Did you want to add something, Rich?
No, I'm just agreeing with it. I've moved around, spent growing up in Ohio and then spent 10 years in Virginia, in Northern Virginia. And,
wow, Virginia is so different. Virginia just a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing what's been going on in places like Virginia. Yeah.
Well, Arms was in Old Town Alexandria. And I think about, we used to, in the gun shop, if we had to replace a gun, we walked up to the warehouse, which was about a block away, signed the gun out, carried the gun back to the gun shop, and, did the paperwork to replace it. And the laws that they just passed, we couldn't do that. We used to unload trucks from the street all the time. And we couldn't do that now either because they banned it.
Yeah. How's the funding going over there, Holly? Obviously, the other side's well funded. Bloomberg, he's put the machinery out there. On your side, how's the funding?
Well, I think, coronavirus has definitely made it hard because we can't get together in person. One of the things that's so beautiful about Ccdl, and yeah, maybe it's not the same dollars that Bloomberg has, but we pass a bucket. Like this is money that is earned by people who are working and breaking their backs and being able to open up their wallet and give us whatever they can. That to me is worth tenfold of what they get through their political dollars. We are the most grassroots organization. We literally have like an old pretzel bucket that has like IKEA handles screwed into the side, and like we pass it around the room. Like it's so old school. But we thrive on donations, and we have our website and we have a PayPal link right there. One of the things that's very, very important to me is that Ccdl does not charge dues. And as long as I am in my role, we will never charge dues to be a member. We're hoping to implement tiered membership where there's other perks that you can get along with it. But to be a member of Ccdl, nobody should have to pay for that. We want to help each and every resident in this state exercise their Second Amendment rights, regardless of their ability to afford to do so. And we're deeply committed to that. So running an organization that does not have mandatory dues is certainly not easy, but we're able to do it out of the goodwill of the people that can donate when they can.
Yeah, I'm throwing up the website right now for Ccdl, and I'm sure you guys could stand to use more members, more people supporting you over there. Let's say there's folks out there and they don't exactly have a lot of money. I know the money's welcome. Are there other things that they can do to help out the cause in Connecticut?
Absolutely. So you may have noticed a comment earlier from Walt Cupson. Walt is our outreach coordinator. So his role with us is if somebody comes forward and says, hey, I want to help, I'm in the town of whatever, he's going to put you in touch with other people in your region. And you can just let us know what's going on in your town. Maybe there's a local ordinance that they're trying to pass that you can't carry a gun on town property. Or maybe there's a politician who said something horrendous about the Second Amendment, and we want to make sure people know better. No matter how little or how much time you have to give, we have a job that can be done. It can literally just be as simple as that. Call us when something's going on in your town. Or want to work on a campaign, we'll find you a really solid 2A candidate that you can help. So no matter what your capacity is, whether it's capacity to donate, whether it's capacity to give time, whatever it is, we can use it.
Yeah, and so I think someone's saying here that you've got a Facebook group. I'm going to see if I can find it and pull up the Facebooks.
There's a group and a page. There's two different ones. There's a Facebook group, a Facebook page.
So the page, is that the one with the eagle on it?
Yeah, the one with the eagle is the official page, and then the group is the one. I think there's like a beach right now for summer.
Yeah.
It's a Ccdl, like a beach.
Yeah, that's what we're looking at. Ccdl on the beach and an eagle.
Yeah. So if you join the group, that's where we chat. Make sure you answer the 3 questions to be able to be admitted to the group. Or just follow us on the Facebook page, which is where we're going to put out some official announcements as they come up.
Yeah. Do you guys have anything on Instagram or any other social medias out there that folks can go to?
It's on the agenda. It's one of my things that I'd like to accomplish is to have more out there on Instagram. But no, there is an Instagram site for us. We don't post to it quite as often, but certainly the stuff that goes on our Facebook page does often link over to there, but it's not as active as it could.
Yeah. I mean, maybe that's a way that someone can help, right? If you've got folks out there that are willing to volunteer and run some of the social media pages, because I mean, it's tough to do. It's not easy as everyone thinks it is.
There's a bunch of them now too, with Parler and Minds, and
it could get crazy. It could get crazy sharing these pages. So there you go. Let's see here. I don't know if there's some other questions. I know there were some questions coming in before, so let's see if there's other questions that are coming in. How are you guys doing with this whole coronavirus thing? Everyone okay there in Connecticut? Anyone that you know of getting sick or anything like that? I think Connecticut was a little bit of a hot spot for a little while. I think it's cooling down.
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody's kind of handles it a little bit differently. I think a lot of gun owners still go to their gun stores, or they go to their clubs or ranges as they're allowed to. What I've seen is people are being really responsible. People keep their distance as much as they can, but without it ruling their life either. But, I totally respect the individuals that do have a real concern about it, and I also respect the individuals that kind of say, hey, if I get it, then maybe I'll build up an immunity. Everybody's different in how they look at it, and I respect that tremendously. One of the things about gun owners is we come from all backgrounds and all ideologies and all opinions, and we're probably some of the most opinionated people that you'll ever meet. So all kinds of ideas flying around when it comes to that stuff. But yeah, Connecticut was one of those states that was shut down hard and fast when it first happened, and we're starting to reopen, but there's still a lot we can't do. Yeah.
I'm guessing right now that Connecticut is banning people from Florida.
Yes.
Yeah. Those things are going
to first.
Yeah, okay. Everyone's going to build walls.
Walls for everyone.
Yeah, build walls all around the state. Let's see. So, let's go around a little bit here and see what's going on. Dylan, you're in Kentucky. What's the situation in Kentucky right now? You're working in a gun store. What does that look like in gun stores there? And then maybe we can get Holly to tell us as well. I don't know if you've been out to any gun stores recently, Holly, but Dylan.
Oh, yeah.
How does it look in Kentucky?
So our governor signed an order where everyone is mandated to have to wear a mask in public. Now there was a lawsuit, and it's not being harshly enforced, I should say. But since I'm an employee at a place, I'm always wearing a mask, which is can be a little bit challenging. But many people still come in the store that are normal customers, but a lot of our elderly customers, my boss tells them, he's like, you guys just need to stay home, and if just call the store, and if you need me to if there's anything I can do for you over the phone, I'll do that. But there's no reason for you to be in here if you're 84 years old just because they're retired and they normally just come in just to say hi or whatever. But it's pretty much business as usual. I mean, it's kind of like what Holly said, like our normal customers still come here. Things are still somewhat normal. It's been very crazy with the amount of new buyers that are coming in. I mean, I have a lot more new buyers than a lot of existing customers. They may just come in to buy ammo or something like that, but the new buyers are really what's making us really busy right now. I mean, there's so many people. I sold a 38 a Taurus Model 605 38 revolver to an 86-year-old lady yesterday who told me she hates guns. And And I just said, well, it's a good thing we have the Second Amendment, or you wouldn't be able to have it.
Yeah, she hates guns. Why is she buying that then?
Because because now all of a sudden it's socially acceptable. I don't know.
I think people are worried.
Yeah, I think the tune is shifting a little bit. So it's that's maybe one of the positive things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What were you going to say, Rich?
Should have sold her a 500 Smith & Wesson.
No.
I just wanted to make the sale, help her get what she needed, respect my elders, and send her on her way.
Good job. Good job on you, Dylan. That's right. Don't do what Richard is saying. Don't listen to him.
Well, we didn't even have a 500 to sell her. We normally do.
Yeah. Is it a situation in gun stores right now that it's like if you go into a gun store, you have to take whatever's there? Is that what's going on?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we are having a big issue with resupply. I will tell you, Hank, I'll tell you who it is off camera if you want, but one of our salesmen for the largest distributor in the country that we use 6 major distributors, and one of our salesmen called us and said on ammunition and firearms, they had a meeting with the manufacturers and that there is likely a 24-month back order on a lot of things.
Yeah.
And I suspect that the price of ammunition and firearms are going to keep going through the roof. I am noticing from every time we order stuff, the stuff we're able to order, our prices are creeping up. And I just see things starting to get really high in terms of pricing. And then, Holly, you brought up a great point about the left wanting to tax firearms and ammunition. It's so funny how they claim to be for the working guy, for the less fortunate people. Yeah. When it's like, how is a single mom going to be able to afford to have ammo when you tax it 35%? That's really, that's a real elitist.
Do you think they'll subsidize the ammo maybe?
Yeah, right.
Can you buy ammo with an EBT card?
Yeah. Could we get some subsidies on some guns?
I saw a meme on Facebook where Bernie Sanders, where he said that basically people shouldn't have to work for what they want. There was some little kid in the crowd with a speech bubble saying, "Should guns be free also?" And then it has him saying, "No."
Yeah. So tell us, Holly, is it the same as in Kentucky, or is it worse in Connecticut because of the added complexities that you guys have there going on with laws, taxation of ammo, etc.? Is it how are you guys seeing this run?
Well, I think gun stores are in the same boat. Gun stores here are having just as much trouble as gun stores anywhere else because really it comes from the manufacturer. I think ammo is hard to get, but we are also seeing a huge increase in the number of new gun owners, just like Dylan was saying. It's interesting when somebody signs up to become a CCDL member, I get an email every single time. So when you go to ccdl.us and you click join, I get an email that is the information you put in, your name, where you're from, why you're interested. And I read each and every one of them. When things were quieter, it was a couple a day. Every time I check my email, I'm like, holy, there's 25 more every time I look at my phone. And these are the folks who are getting their permits and getting their guns for the first time. And, and I think that that's also a part of people, buying what's on the shelves. But no, I think across the country, there's a shortage. I don't know if our laws are making that any more difficult. I think that right now what it is it's a national feeling that there's a feeling that they need to protect themselves, that the government is not going to be there to do it for you. So I think that's just, systemic everywhere.
Yeah. So here's a comment from Robert Starr that I will read for all you guys here. I think you guys might find this amusing. He says, maybe you can buy ammo with your EBT card if you tell them that you're going to bite the bullet. And I see some people. Vanessa Kitty says gun stores are getting thin on inventory. I think that's happening for sure. And some people were asking about like 9mm or ammo available.
Oh, forget it.
If you, Hank, if you don't mind me saying, the three hardest calibers right now: 9mm number 1, 5.56 number 2, but 380 is number 3, and it's starting to creep up closer to number 2. Those are 380 is starting to become hard to get. We have so many distributors. My boss, he stays up extremely late ordering things, and he'll put things in his cart at 3 in the morning, and by 3:05 it's gone. It's already bought. Yeah. I mean, it's really that bad right now. We are seeing on ammo, our cost is going up well over 20% when we can get it.
Wow.
And what I told you, I can tell you one of the major ammo manufacturers, we spoke to one of their rep, and they're over 2 billion rounds behind. And they said that that would take them 1.5 years just to fill the back orders.
Yeah.
I mean,
so let me ask you guys this. This is probably, do you guys think this is a good time to sell your guns and ammo and stuff like that if you have it, or you guys are holding? Go ahead, Holly. We'll let you. You can jump in on this one.
I've never sold a gun. I've never sold a gun. I have guns that I hate, and they will sit in the back of the safe. But it's one more gun I've got.
So there's guns back there. Do you just open up your safe and go in there? I hate you. I really hate you guys.
I really hate you. They're a horrible gun.
I mean, wouldn't this, and Richard, I mean, you guys let me know, wouldn't this be a good time, like those guns that you don't really like, you could sell them, get a good price, save that money for some awesomeness. Holly's no. Holly's saying
you're a very principled woman. You're much more principled than me. I wish I was like you.
Never sold a gun in my life.
Yeah.
Everything's for sale.
Listen, that's some people's family traditions. I don't know. Does that go back? Because there's certain people I know, no one in their family sells guns. They only buy guns.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but this is a good time, though. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I have a raffle gun that I won, and it's just a polymer piece of terrible, and it just sits back there. But I will keep it till the day I die.
Yeah.
One more gun. If my door breaks down, it's one more gun I've got.
No, that's true. And the thing is that you're in Connecticut also, right? So unfortunately, things are getting harder, more difficult there for people to get their hands on stuff. So yeah, I kind of get that.
See, because don't you all have a waiting period and all that stuff? I could be wrong.
So actually we don't. Believe it or not, you actually, the day that you purchase your firearm, you walk out with it. No doubt that they're going to try to change that at some point in time. But there is an extensive waiting period to get your permit in the first place. So you can't buy a gun here until you have that permit. And it's supposed to be not more than 8 weeks, but we definitely see 6 months or whatever it is. And really, there's no punitive measure taken against the department if they do exceed the 8 weeks. So if you don't get your permit within 8 weeks, you go and you have a hearing in front of a board. You could wait 1 year to 3 years to even get that hearing, and then all they can do is just say, give him his permit.
Yeah.
But there's no punitive measure.
That turns into a de facto waiting period, basically.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. So we're technically labeled as a shall issue state, but we're really like a may issue state because it can be just so onerous.
Yeah, they can throw things in the front of it. Walt Cupson says all guns matter.
All guns matter. Yeah.
So he's not selling any guns either. So let me see on the panel who would sell guns right now, since this is I would do it.
Well, let me make a confession.
Yeah, because I want some nice guns. I want to get some some higher end guns or something. But you can't get those now. But I would sell it, save my money, and see what happens.
Today, as a matter of fact, actually a couple of days ago, I was just going through our distributors. Sometimes, when we're not the few minutes of the day when we're not busy, I'll just get on the computer and look at our distributors and see what they have. And normally I can spend hours on there, and I'll just be like, oh, I'd like to have this, this, and this. And I'm going through, and it's bad when you can't even pay $2,000 for an AR. I mean, it's terrible right now.
Yeah.
I mean, even the AR brands that were suffering greatly because the saturated market, you can't find them.
Wow.
I mean, the only ARs that I see in stock occasionally would be one in a 6.5 AR-10 and a 6.5 Creedmoor or a 260 Remington or maybe a 224 Valkyrie. But anything 5.56, 300 blackout, and even 308, I mean, forget it. I mean, I mean, I've never seen it that bad before.
Yeah, shotguns. I heard shotguns are
not through
staying.
The roof.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's interesting. And then obviously ammo. But I guess there's rules of how you can sell ammo, right? Depending on where it is. Like, I don't know if in Connecticut, because of these rules, Holly, you'd have to tell us, can people sell ammo to people?
If they have a permit.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. So just regular people can't sell ammo to your neighbors.
Not if they don't have a permit, no.
Oh,
right. So I can't hand a single round of ammunition to somebody who's not permitted. That means they've been background checked, they've paid, up to almost $300. They're, the whole nine. Yeah, it's not cheap here. By the time you do your basic safety class, you pay your fees, you pay for your state level fees, and you pay your local municipal fees. You're in it close to $300.
Yeah, but that's terrible. So you can't even, like, if your neighbor doesn't have ammo or something like that, and you're like, hey, I've got some extra ammo, you can't do that.
Not if they don't have a permit, no.
Wow.
So yeah, like, let's say, for example, so our permit is a permit to carry. It's not open where we can open carry if we wanted to. Most people don't, but we are just a permit to carry. So if my neighbor, let's say their grandfather left them a firearm, they're allowed to have it in their house and they don't have to have a permit, but you can't step outside with it. But let's say, God forbid, there's a rash of break-ins and I want to hand him one single round of 22. No go.
Wow. What if you go to the range and there's someone shooting and they ran out of ammo, but you still have ammo, and you're like, here, you can't go. Here's some ammo. Can't do
if they're not
that.
permitted. No, if they're not permitted. What's really interesting, the ranges here didn't used to be the case. So it used to be that you could, somebody who was a new shooter, they wanted to just go get a feel for it. Maybe they were, waiting for their permit to come in. They could go to a range, rent a gun, buy the ammo at the range, and then go shoot. They still rent the gun, but they can't buy the ammo out. They can't buy the ammo out of the shell because they're not permitted yet. So the range can't even sell ammo to somebody who wants to go and try it.
Yeah, that's insanity.
That's when you just rent them the gun and give them the ammo.
Can't do it. They can't.
Yeah, you can't even give it. You cannot give it.
They can't receive it. Yeah, they cannot receive ammunition. So it's a vicious cycle. And to Dylan's point earlier with this 35% ammo tax, Connecticut is kind of a state made up of the haves and have-nots, right? So Connecticut in our urban areas can be really, really tough. City of Bridgeport is rough. City of Hartford is rough. And then you've got the very wealthy shoreline in Fairfield, Connecticut, and it's everything you picture, the tennis courts and the vineyards and all of the, the nice cars and Greenwich and all that. Don't think for a second that the ones that can manage to pay that 35% tax, that they're going to be stopped from buying ammunition. The folks that are not going to be able to afford to buy ammunition are the people who really need it for self-defense. It is the people that can't just go and blow a couple $100 at the range in a day because they want to go shooting with their buddies. These are people that are in a higher crime area and really do need that ammunition for self-defense. And you're not going to develop the skill set to properly defend yourself unless you practice. So, to put that tax in place really is a hardship on different socioeconomic groups. And the antis don't get it. They think, well, we'll just tax them and then we can pay for our programs. It doesn't work that way. It's not that simple. A single parent, somebody who's scraping by, isn't going to spend the time developing the skill set to be proficient if they can't afford to do it.
Absolutely.
And that makes their household less safe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's not that the liberals don't understand, it's that they don't care.
And they don't want anybody to know, right?
Yeah.
Even if they finally get the message, it's, whoa, we're not going to talk about that.
Yeah.
And it's not the liberals, it's all the politicians.
Yeah. And no one cares about it until right now, right? No one cares about it until, so let's say you have someone out there that supported all of these policies. Now they're worried, now we've got all these things going on in the country. They go into, they try to go get a gun somewhere in Connecticut and get ammo. And it's like, no, you have to get the permit for the gun. You have to get the permit for the ammo. It's insanity, but they put all these blocks in their own way. And that's often what we do. Like you said, we think it's going to affect someone else, but it's affecting us. How are they looking at reloading? Can you reload in Connecticut or no?
Yep, you can reload.
Okay.
So, it's definitely one of those things that I think more and more people are getting into. I grew up reloading with my dad, so that's how I got into firearms. As I used to be, 7, 8 years old, and I'd sit at my dad's workbench with him, and that's how I kind of went the direction that I went. And I think that there's going to be more and more people looking at reloading, just simply because, one, ammo's hard to get, but at that, even the reloading equipment is getting harder to get, right? Even primers, whatever it is, that's also getting harder to come by.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So now what about going to another state? What about going over state lines to buy ammo? How does that work?
We're allowed to. Yeah, you can drive to another state and buy ammo and bring it back. At the end of the day, what's really interesting about that is the state of Connecticut doesn't realize that that's now regular sales tax dollars that are not coming back, right? Like, why they would even do that makes no sense, because yes, we can leave and go buy it somewhere else. So guess what, Connecticut? You just didn't get the 6% sales tax that you would have gotten otherwise. The way to go.
Isn't that what happened a lot with cigarettes?
Oh yeah, definitely. Oh, yeah. People would in college all the time. Yeah, I remember that. People would drive across state lines to buy cheaper cigarettes.
Do you have to have a permit to go? Do they still make you have a permit just to possess the ammo, or is that just to buy it? Like if I go take a truck to New Hampshire and get a truckload of ammo, do I still have to have the permit?
Yeah, I don't believe you can be in possession of the ammunition without a permit.
Wow.
Okay. It's definitely the permit to buy it. That's a really good question. I haven't thought about that in a while, and it's definitely something that was on my radar during SB 1116. It's something that I should revisit, but now it's just such the norm that I don't even really think about it. So you need to have a permit to buy it. But I would imagine it probably won't go so well for you if you have a permit or you don't have a permit and an officer finds some ammo.
Yeah, and then when you're driving that big truck and you get pulled over, Dylan.
No.
In Connecticut. Yeah. Oh. Yeah, that's probably not going to be fun.
Man, you want some ammo, man?
Yeah.
I got some ammo in the back, man.
Listen, if you know about this, if you're in Connecticut and you know the answer to that, let us know. I'm sure it looks like Holly is trying to do some research on that. Robert Starr says the reason they're trying to implement a 35% tax on ammo is because they couldn't pass the 50% tax they proposed last year. Nice.
True.
What the? Okay. Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, last year they wanted 50%. They brought it down to 35. But.
Yeah. And then John Crump gave us a couple of bucks here. He says, "Can you give Bella, my warrior niece?" I'm guessing a shout out because I don't see the end of it. But shout out to Bella. My best regards go out to Bella.
Hank, I wanted to bring up something also. The sad part about the whole tax thing that scares me. I could be totally off, and Holly is more than welcome to. I'd like to hear her thoughts on this, but I actually think if they pass the 35% tax, that would probably stand up in court, because we've had the 11% excise tax on firearms for years, and no one's ever. I can't remember the law that it is on that, but people have challenged that, and it's stood there for years. And I don't understand how something, if we tax churches or we tax something that's constitutionally protected, it seems like that would be struck down. But because it's, the right that everyone is okay with being a second class right, that it would stand up. So I mean, that truly scares me. And like you're saying, Hank, if that law passed, someone like me, I'm a pretty fortunate guy. It may not affect me directly. It would certainly affect me in my ability to target shoot and whatnot. But just because we got to get over this thing as a community of only support going against things that affect me, because it's not about me. It's about, like Miss Holly was saying, the people that need the Second Amendment more than me are the people that really may be of a lower income, and they live in bad areas.
People who just don't even know they need it. They don't even know they need it, and they don't have guns. They don't have ammo. They're not able to do any of this stuff until the last minute, and then they find themselves that they can't do it because of stuff that they supported. I mean, ultimately, to me, I don't think that the Second Amendment should be politicized, right? It just shouldn't be, and all of these things are infringements, like adding taxes and kicking in massive fees and all this kind of stuff, putting all these restrictions on people are definitely infringements, and they shouldn't be there. John Crump says now Matthew wants a shout out to you, Matthew. Shout out to every Crump out there. If your last name is Crump and you're looking at this shout out's for you. It's for you.
Shout out to all the Crumpettes.
All the Crumps, the Crumpets, the Crumpets, the Crumbs, whoever's out there. Shout out to all you guys. So, okay, did you want to address that, Holly? Sorry, we're getting a little silly.
No. Well, Dylan was talking about the Pitman Robertson Act, and yes, we've had that for 100 years, and that has been upheld. And I think every state and even some localities are able to tax ammunition at various rates. I think in the state of Washington, there's some areas that tax ammunition differently. And I think that, unfortunately, if laws like this are allowed to stand, it will become, again, something that spreads to other places. So stand by till it comes to a town near you. But we have accepted that for 100 years as Americans. Why? Because it goes to a good cause, right? So the Pitman Robertson Act funds all of these wildlife conservation efforts and national parks and things like that. But at the end of the day, now they're making an argument that we should fund urban anti-gun programs. So if we've allowed this, why not that? But how do you qualify if these programs are effective?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They're not.
Yeah, I don't know how you do it. I don't know if it's really necessary either. So, by the way, smash the thumbs ups out there. We're talking to Holly Sullivan of Ccdl, Connecticut Civil Defense League. So smash those thumbs ups. I see folks out there joining us. Go ahead and do that. Gorillas and Guns says shout to the Crump. There you go. The Crump should all be covered. Anyone named Crump in the world, even in space. If you're on a spaceship and your name is Crump, I just gave you a shout out. Okay, let's see. Who was gonna? Rich? Was it Rich or was it Dylan?
Well, and something else I want to make too about these laws with the taxing.
Mm-hmm.
They are designed not only to infringe on everyone's rights and make it harder for us to, have the things that we are granted, the things that, our God-given rights that we are allowed, allow us to have. It's also designed to take down the firearms industry because, if they can take the firearms industry down, there'll be nothing for us to, there'll be nothing for people to buy. It's just like Hank a while back, I remember you talked about on the show when there was a bill to make the NFA tax up to $500. I mean, all of these fees and stuff. They see the firearms industry, how it is doing well right now with, the recent events, and their goal is, it's kind of like what we just talked about earlier with the states' rights, with the state level gun control initiatives. If they can't burn the Second Amendment down in one swipe, but they can take the firearms industry down, well, that plays a role in doing both of it. So, I just wanted to throw that out there too.
Yeah, that's true.
What's kind of ironic is how that backfires. Every time there is a mass casualty event, or every time there is word of massive legislation, or every time there's some sort of civil unrest, firearms industry skyrockets. So all of these things that they think play into, well, didn't you see how terrible this was? we go out and buy more, and we get new recruits and more people that go, hold on. Yes, I know this terrible thing happened, but it just goes to show that I'm responsible for my own self-defense. So it doesn't work, but they keep after it.
Yeah, I mean, because it's just a logical thing, right? It's a logical thing. When people are seeing all these bad things happening, they like the media wants to make you think people are seeing this and they're going, you know what? We got to get rid of all the guns. No, the bad guys are doing all of this stuff, and the people see it and they're like, oh, the bad guys don't care about laws. And when the bad guys are doing things to people, there's no cops or anyone there to save them. Joe Biden's not there to save them. So they're like, you know what? It's only logical that those people say, I'm going to defend myself. And there's a lot of people out there like that I've been talking to before all of this came up. There's folks who I see and I talk to them about guns and stuff like that, and they've gotten into guns and everything. And when I see them now, they're like, you know what? It's a good thing I actually got into that. Because all the new people are trying to come in. Everything's expensive. It's crazy out there. And they're like, oh, this is a good thing I got into this. Yes, that's the point. America wants guns. America wants to be able to defend themselves. Like, we don't even have, do we have to ask this question anymore?
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, and they're never going to shut the industry down. There's nothing the government can do to shut the industry down. I've had ATF come in here and say, well, we're going to pull your license. And I just look at them and I say, okay, pull my license. Guess what I'm going to be doing tomorrow? Making more money because I have no restrictions then. And I can sell whatever I want to whoever I want.
Yeah. The only thing they could do is try to come for you. But when they try to do that, you know, we just we just circle the bandwagons around you. That's all.
Well, that would be illegal.
Yeah.
Well, you pulled my license. I was legal, and you want to pull my license. You know, I don't care. This is what I do.
We'll just call your shop. We'll make it a Chaz zone. We'll make it the BWE.
Yeah, we'll make it a Chaz zone.
Yeah, exactly. See how that one goes. Shooting Gallery NE gave us $5 here. He says, Richard, how is this situation affecting your business in terms of transfers or gunsmithing? So I know you're in a completely different section here. You're not necessarily selling new guns every day, but how is this all affecting your business?
You know, transfers, really the only transfers I do is NFA stuff. And the NFA market is in the toilet.
Really?
Oh, yeah. And really, you know, the NFA stuff I do is machine guns. And you couldn't give one away right now. You know.
What do you think's going on there with that? Is that just like everyone's focusing on getting guns? No one's thinking about getting the NFA stuff?
Yeah. Nobody's thinking about getting NFA stuff. You know, and the price, you know, price has gone up so much that, you know, so much of the stuff is overpriced. You know, an Uzi is $12,000 to $15,000. Look, an Uzi is an $800 gun all day.
And we're talking about a machine gun.
Yeah, we're talking about a full auto. Realistically, it's an $800 gun. And they're going for $12,000 to $15,000.
Okay, and those prices have gone up during all of this?
No, they've stayed flat for about the last. The bottom fell out of the market about a year and a half ago.
Okay.
And it's been flat. Prices have been, you know, kind of waffling up and down. Maybe, you know, you can find an Uzi for 10 grand and it's gone, you know, that day.
Okay.
You know, I just got one in from one of the dealers to rebuild, and he's got a $16,000 price tag on it.
Wow. Okay. DCG44 says you can give him all you want. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's not how it works.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, as far as the gunsmithing, you know, right now I'm about 18 to 24 month turnaround time. You know, I've just stopped taking anything in. I just don't have time. I'm a one-man shop, and, you know, I'm working, you know, 16, 18 hours a day, and I just don't have time.
Yeah. Christian Grest is saying transferable machine guns are way, way out of the reach of the normal person. What can we do about that? Let me see. Maybe get rid of the whole
How about
NFA.
we lift the damn manufacturing ban?
How about have Donald Trump sign the executive order to repeal the Hughes Amendment?
Yeah.
Hit him up on Twitter and tell him to repeal it.
Yeah, I'll go out and vote for him 100 times.
Yeah.
I mean, depending on what state it is, if they let you do that, why not, right? Let's go to some news here, unless someone else has something. I just want to jump into some news stuff out there. Holly, I'm not sure if you're aware of what goes on in the social media, YouTube worlds and all of that. Have you ever heard of Full 30?
No, I actually don't do a whole lot on social media.
Okay, so Full 30 is one. There's a couple of different platforms out there that are alternatives to YouTube. There's Gunstreamer. Full 30 is one of those. Probably the Full 30 is an older one that's been out there. And if you're wondering why we would need alternatives to YouTube, lots of restrictions here on YouTube. So for example, we used to be able to do this show live and handle guns and stuff like that. Now they won't let us. We can have them in the background. We can show pictures of them or video, but we can't touch them. So there's all those kinds of things going on. So Full 30, like I said, is one of the older ones, and it's in the news. Here's a press release that Full 30 sent out to AmmoLand News and some other places out there. It says Full 30 Firearms Video website announces new ownership and management. Full30.com has been fortunate enough to gain new ownership over the past few months, and we thought it was time to release an official statement on the subject for the sake of transparency. As with everything business related, a lot has been happening behind the scenes that could not be openly discussed until negotiations and discussions were finalized. We are past this point now, and we're ready to discuss our ownership overhaul, and with it our new management team. So basically, it looks like there's a gentleman here. It says, first we would like to introduce everyone to Jeff Kirkham, which I've never heard of. I don't know if you guys have. The new majority owner of the platform. Jeff spent 28 and a half years within the United States Army Special Operations community. After retiring from military service, Jeff Kirkham moved into the firearms community, where he has spent the last decade of his life dedicated to improving the community in every way that he can. He's a firm believer in the industry needs a cohesive platform that connects content creators with manufacturers and provides both with the digital infrastructure needed for industry growth in today's new, ever-advancing technological world. So there you go. So Jeff Kirkham is the owner of the platform there, and Jared Markle is the CEO. So it says next we need to introduce Jared Markle, the new CEO of Full 30. Jared Markle is the son of Professor Paul Markle from Student of the Gun. If you guys, I've heard of Student of the Gun out there.
Yeah, I've been on that. I've been on a couple times.
Oh, so you know Jared and
sure
Paul,
do.
I'm guessing. Yeah, I know them also. So congratulations to those guys. Full 30 under new ownership. I know, like you're saying, Holly, you don't spend a lot of time, in this. But if you've got an opinion on this, or folks have an opinion, we can spend a little bit of time going over that. What's up?
Hey, Hank, do you know if they're going to open it up so you can set up a channel?
Well, I'm already on there. And I know they did open it up before so people to go secure their names and things like that. So I hope now that they've got this new ownership going that they will open that up and people will be able to start posting their content.
Yeah, because shortly after they opened, I tried to set up an account. On a channel, and you can register the name, but you can't do anything with it. It's then it does no good.
Yeah, I feel we're going in a positive direction here. They're talking about this.
I hope we are.
Yeah, so hopefully that will be something that will be set up and people will be able to get on there and start doing things. And I hope as well that they clean up a lot of stuff, get an app, get an app that works for the iPhone and what is that other thing that some people use? What is it called? Android. Oh, that's what it is. For the Android user. Who uses Android out there? Not me. Any Android users? Anyone? No? Anyone? Bueller? No one. I
I'm
guarantee
still
you.
waiting.
Huh?
I'm still waiting for them to come out for an app with the old desk phones
Oh, right. Okay.
that you could slam down and you could beat somebody to death with.
No. Those days are gone. You're going to have to register that.
Yeah.
Christian Gress said, I registered for channel and full 30 months ago, still crickets. I think they're working on this. I've spoken to Jared through email. There's an open invite for anyone from Full 30 to come here on the podcast, and we'll get into all this stuff and maybe try to get you guys questions answered. But I think, they're going in a positive, direction for that. So anyone else have anything on that? Dylan looks like he doesn't have, you don't even know about the Full 30s, do you?
Dylan's like, what?
Yeah. Dylan is one
I'll
of these.
be honest with you. I stopped watching Full 30 whenever it changed hands. To be honest with you, because there's just I hate to say it, but there's just really not a huge point in me watching that over YouTube because I watch all my other stuff on YouTube, so I'm kind of lazy like that.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense. Understood. I hope they get their act together, and they're welcome to come on here, and we'll talk to them and get into that stuff. I'm looking around to see what other news here. I'll throw this news up. This is some interesting news. People trying to sneak guns past the TSA. TSA finds artfully concealed assault rifle, which, okay. Ammunition, arsenal, in a bag at Newark Airport. Oh, Newark Airport.
Oh, God.
Yeah, this is probably the number one place that people try to get stuff. So there's a picture here, and I guess what they did is these guys had, looks like an AR pistol, because I can see just the buffer tube. An AR pistol, I can't see. Oh, it looks like it has a meme lower on it. But an AR pistol, a loaded magazine, a bunch of boxes of ammo, actually several magazines, and they put it, under the lining of the suitcase, and they were trying to sneak this in. It says 2 passengers were arrested Monday in Newark Airport after Transportation Security Administration officers caught an assault rifle with a high-capacity magazine and an arsenal of ammunition, all illegal in the state. Artfully concealed behind the lining of a suitcase, according to TSA, the discovery was made Monday while officers were conducting screening operations of checked baggage at Newark Liberty International Airport Terminal C. I've gone through there. When the TSA officers detected the weapon and ammunition, they immediately alerted the Port Authority police, who tracked down the passenger, a resident of East Orange, and her traveling companion, who were in the terminal near the departing gate. So there you go. Can you imagine that call? This Mary Anderson, you left your AR-15. Please come back to security. No way.
You're supposed to put it in one of those lead-lined bags.
Yeah. I'm surprised that, because they don't actually catch a lot of stuff. Have you guys ever seen those reports, when they test them?
Yeah, and they fail every time.
Yeah, they have a high failure rate, 80%, that they don't actually catch things. So there you go. Just a top tip: don't try to hide AR-15s and loaded magazines in your luggage and get it on the plane. Holly?
Yeah, bad idea. Bad idea.
Yeah, there you go.
What could go wrong?
Yes, don't say we didn't warn you about that one. Does that kind of stuff happen in Connecticut? Do you guys see that on the news all the time?
Well, every once in a while, somebody will try to go through the airport and they're like, I forgot that was there. How do you forget that was there? One of the challenges that we have is we're so close to New York City. So, we butt up right to it. So there's a lot of challenges with flying in and out of New York City because you can't travel into New York City with your firearms. So a lot of people have problems there. But not too many here in Connecticut. We only have, we technically have, I think, 2 airports, but I think everybody uses just one. So it's a pretty small state. You can cross our entire state in an hour and a half. So it's
yeah, it is. I had a friend one time that was an Uber driver in Connecticut, and he's a veteran. And anyway, he was driving Uber. He had a Glock in his backpack, which I guess is fine, in Connecticut. It was all good. His passenger was going to New York City, to Harlem.
Oops.
Yeah, so he took that passenger to Harlem. Everything was all good, and then he got pulled over. He said this is how he said it. So I'm just repeating what he told me. He said he got pulled over for driving while white in Harlem.
That'll do it.
So then he tells these guys, so they're like, "Oh, do you have any weapons?" So he tells them that he does, because he's a good guy, he's trying to do the right thing.
There's his first mistake.
Yeah.
Lie.
He's got this backpack, and like these backpacks where you can conceal, you can conceal your pistol or whatever. He's got one of those. They can't find it because they take it and they're going all through the backpack, and they cannot find that thing. So he eventually shows them. I'm not going to show them anything.
Oh my God.
So he shows them, and of course they arrest him and seize it and all that. And I know they released him in a couple of days, but they held on to the gun, and he's trying to get the gun back, but you'll never get that back from New York. It's never, ever going to happen. So
they took it home with them.
Yeah. New York, I think New York destroys that stuff, right?
No, they take it home with them.
Who knows with the New Yorkers? So any news out there that you guys have seen that's kind of like caught your interest? Anything that you're upset about going on in the news? You, Holly?
Well, I mean, I think this Missouri couple with filed against them, I think that's got sort of everybody a little bit on edge. Like, gosh, if I can't even walk into my front yard or somebody has come onto my private property, where is that going to end? So that's going to be an interesting case to watch that unravel.
Yeah. What did you? So when you first saw this whole thing that went down in St. Louis with this couple, right? Like the rest of us, what were your thoughts on that? Because we've talked about that here before, but I'm interested in knowing what you thought when you saw that.
Maybe just a little bit more sugar discipline and some stances and things like that. I mean, obviously, we talked about some of the basics. So, look, I haven't been in that position where somebody's walked up on my house, and I would hope that I would have, a little bit more muzzle discipline and things like that. But, I haven't been there, so I know that there's certainly a degree of, I don't know, I guess it's your,
adrenaline.
Yeah, exactly. But I would have liked to see maybe a little bit more control. But at the end of the day, when we're talking about the bigger picture, I certainly think that they were well within their right to stop somebody from coming into their home.
Oh, absolutely. So now, go ahead. What were you going to say, Rich?
Oh, you know me, and I've had, people come up on my property and muzzle right at their head, round in the chamber, trigger half pull. Go ahead and move. The only way I want to see you move is the hell off my property.
Yeah, I think these people were well within their rights. It's unfortunate that they're being charged. I think at the end of the day, it's political. No one got hurt out of the protesters or whatever, and they didn't get hurt themselves. The funny thing is, and I'd like to see what you guys, and specifically what Holly thinks about this. What do you think about the fact that the wife, the gun that she had, was inoperable?
Oh yeah, I mean,
That's kind of stupid.
I think, I can't. But I mean, you know what? She had some chutzpah for being there, right?
That's a good way to put it.
I give her that, but it's a learning opportunity. That's one of those things.
I think your voice is going really low. I'm not sure what's. We're losing your voice there, Holly. Yeah.
Am I? Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if that's me. Okay.
But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I think it takes to having your equipment being ready, being familiar with your equipment, knowing that you are ready at a moment's notice to use it. And that's just basic training. But, at the end of the day, there's a lot of people that would have hid and called the police, and that's it. So, I respect them. I respect them for standing their ground. And then hopefully it's an opportunity for others to learn about how to get even better at that.
Yeah. I don't think they should have hidden, and I believe that Missouri has stand your ground.
They do.
They
Yeah.
do.
I
They
think
also have constitutional carry, I believe.
they do. Okay. And I think it's unfortunate that that gun was inoperable. And I believe, because I was reading that when the police went to take the AR itself was not loaded, and they found no ammo on that premises, which suggests that the AR was also not loaded.
Yeah, that's
terrible.
That's bad news.
Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead.
They are very fortunate that they didn't get hurt from that, because pulling a firearm with no ammunition is really asking for trouble. My opinion, I'm like you, Holly. I give them hats off for defending themselves. I thought they made a mistake letting them get too close to their property. I mean, that's my whole thing. Like if I'm walking away, if I'm out in public and there's a mob coming at me, I'm gonna walk away. But when I'm at home, there's nowhere to hide. And if there's a mob coming to me, I'm not letting them get close enough to where they can come into my house.
I believe that these guys were just trying to intimidate those guys, and I don't think these are real gun folks. I know that the pistol that they had, the reason why they had that pistol is because, they're both lawyers, and they're suing a firearms manufacturer, and they're using that pistol as a prop in the courtroom.
What?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
No, that's true. You can look it up. That's 100% true. So.
Oh wow.
Oh God.
Yeah. So that's what was going on there, and I believe that these guys, because they were saying from the beginning, they were shocked that people were coming down on them, and I really think they're on the other side. Now, I don't. That doesn't affect what I think. I still believe they had the right to defend their home, and I believe that even what they did, because they didn't know what was going to happen. Maybe they thought these people were coming there to smash up their house, for all they know, and they were trying to. I think they were trying to intimidate those guys and have them keep moving on and not do anything to their home. It's really dangerous to, like, the way they were really trying to push people. You could have created the problem by doing that, but ultimately I think it's kind of interesting that these guys are more in the other camp. They're more like in the anti-gun camp, I mean. And it's interesting that they got offered 50 ARs as replacements from the industry, when these guys, as a business, they make money suing people. Fine, lawyers, I guess it's legal to be a lawyer, but they're actually kind of like anti the industry, or making money off of the industry. And they had these guns, and they weren't real operable guns, or at least the AR-15, if it was operable, was not loaded. And I saw the gentleman on Fox News, and he was saying, now I read in newspaper articles that they did not find that gun loaded, and they did not find ammo in the home. And he was saying that people will find out later some interesting things about the AR. We're probably going to find out that, there's going to be confirmation that AR was not loaded, and therefore these charges they're trying to file are really kind of like null and void, because there was no way that they could have actually hurt anyone.
Wow.
So.
This is why I need to be on social media more.
Yeah.
They are lucky that one of those protesters was not carrying a firearm and did not call their bluff on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I hate to say that, but
Yeah. I think everyone's lucky in this situation. Everyone got off good, except that obviously they're pressing charges on them, which they shouldn't.
Well, I saw something where the Missouri, I saw from Jared, Guns and Gadgets, where I think the Missouri Attorney General is looking to dismiss those charges. I don't know if that's happened yet, but I mean, I think they're going to get dismissed. That's just my opinion.
Yeah. The Attorney General wants to dismiss the charges, and the governor said he'll
pardon
them.
Okay.
If they get charged.
Yeah, for using fake guns to defend their home, or unloaded guns, however I guess you want to look at that. That's interesting. Yeah. Does anyone out there care about HK? Anyone into HKs? Anyone own any HKs? Say that again.
I have an HK. I have the P7 tracker.
Okay, very nice, very nice. So it looks like HK has changed hands officially. Do you guys see that?
Yep. They got bought out.
Yeah. Heckler and Koch. I gotta say it right because people will get real upset and carry on out there. Heckler and Koch under new ownership. Looks like you can go through this thing. Basically, they've been given approval by the government to different companies taking them over. I don't know if that's gonna have. Do you think this is gonna make H&K more consumer friendly?
No.
No.
Hey, Hank, face it.
Yeah, I know they
hate all of us.
Yes, I know.
HK is the European version of Colt. They do everything possible to not listen to the consumer.
Mm-hmm.
And they only sell to the consumer when they don't have any military sales.
Exactly.
And then they run back to the consumer. Oh, we love you. We love you. Get the hell out of here.
Buy our guns. Buy our guns.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's. I thought that was interesting. I'm looking for some other. There's a bunch of stuff. I saw that there were a bunch of kids actually that got arrested. Here we go. Here's the story. This is interesting. This is in the gun world. 5 UPS employees arrested for stealing guns from incoming packages. Okay.
No, not UPS.
Yes, UPS. This is in Lexington, South Carolina. A gun theft ring at Midland's UPS hub was busted last week by Lexington County deputies. The guns were stolen from incoming packages at the shipping company's hub in West Columbia. They're giving out the kids' names here. One's 19, let's see, 18, 19. They all face charges of breach of trust. And then some of them were charged with criminal conspiracy. UPS's security team notified the Lexington County Sheriff's Department that guns were being stolen from incoming trucks. LCSD says 2 of them devised the plan and that all 5 men sold the guns or gave them away while on company time. Investigators arrested them at the UPS hub Thursday. They've been released from Lexington County Detention Center after meeting conditions of their bond. Which I always think that's interesting. When people do stuff like this, you know, they get bond. If it was us as gun guys, under the prison.
Yeah. Yeah, but UPS has stole more guns than anyone else in the last 50 years.
Yeah.
You know, that's just what they do. You know, it's bad when ATF tells you, oh, when you're going to be shipping guns, don't put your company name on the package. Because people will see that and they'll steal the guns at UPS.
So have any of you guys ever been through that? Like something was firearm was supposed to get shipped out to your FFL or whatever? I'm an FFL, so stuff comes directly to me. Have you guys ever had that it never got there? Someone somewhere along the line stole it? Really?
Oh, yeah. I've had it happen with BWE. And I was at InterArms in the 90s, and ATF worked on a case for 2.5 years. The UPS driver who picked up from InterArms, and I mean, we filled that truck every night. He would take the truck to his house or his boss's house, unload the truck into his boss's garage, take the truck back to UPS. His boss would bury the paperwork. And he was doing this at least once or twice a week.
And they thought no one was going to figure that out?
No, no, it's also before everything was computerized. This is in the mid-90s. And ATF, brilliant ATF, investigated it for 2.5 years before they had enough evidence.
Right.
You know, when they finally busted the guy at InterArms, I'm like, he takes one truckload, you go over and shoot him in the head and be done with it.
Yeah.
What is the problem?
Yeah. You know what the problem is, Rich? You're not running the world. That's what the problem is.
Yeah, well, if I was running the world, there wouldn't be.
Rich is that old West Justice. Holly is like, oh boy. Not even going to comment on that one.
Like, who the hell is the psychopath you've got on the show?
Yeah, Holly's thinking, we disavow any knowledge. We don't know anything. We don't know anything about what's going on. It's too bad. Listen, these kids have ruined their life, but, they've ruined their life. And I don't know how they think in these current times you could do stuff like this and get away with it. That's actually not so easy anymore. Every single thing's being tracked.
But they don't.
In your states, but in Connecticut, we have a vehicle safe storage law, and it just reminds me of it's not exactly the same track, but we have a vehicle safe storage law, and if you leave your firearm in your vehicle and it's unattended, it has to be in a safe. If your firearm gets stolen out of your car, you lose your permit for life. You're done, son.
Whoa.
How's it? Okay.
Done.
So when did this go into effect in Connecticut? I'm just curious.
Vehicle storage. We got it last legislative session. So if let's say I want to go to the post office, but I can't go to the post office because that's federal property.
You have to leave your gun in the car.
You have to leave your gun in the car. Well, now you have to leave it in a safe. So if I didn't leave it in a safe and it gets stolen, it's on me. I'm not allowed to give up your permit, give up your guns. You are done. You're not getting it back.
So if you put it in a safe in your car and it still gets stolen, then what?
I think you're saying we haven't seen that happen yet that I know of. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. We see it every once in a while. I don't want to say that it's rampant. It's not a rampant problem, but we do see it every once in a while that somebody, I know somebody who went to the range, firearm was in a backpack, forgot the backpack was in the back seat, went to bed, car gets broken into that night, firearm gets taken. Permit is gone forever. Not only it was his brother's gun, they both lost their permit.
Wow.
The one who the gun was registered to, and the person and his brother who he loaned the gun to.
And the guy that stole the gun they probably let him right out of jail.
Slap on the wrist, right. So we actually, Ccdl, when that bill was coming forward, so we have we get it, the legislative makeup, right? So if you know that you've got a vast majority that are anti-2A, you work to find ways that you can at least get an amendment in to make the bill better. So the legislators on our side proposed a bill, I swear to God, this is true story, proposed an amendment to the bill that said, okay, fair enough. If this bill is going to pass and they're going to have to put their guns in a safe in the vehicle, can we at least make the penalty harsher on the thief than the gun owner?
Right.
The amendment failed. I swear to God, the amendment failed. It is harsher on the gun owner in the state of Connecticut if your gun got stolen than on the thief who took it.
Yeah.
Well, that tells you where their priorities are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's where we are nowadays, man. That's where we are nowadays, right? Like they're releasing criminals. Did Connecticut let people out of jail over COVID-19?
I know they were talking about it. I don't know if they actually did. There was a whole discussion. Actually, I was just reading in the news today. I think it was ACLU was involved in a lawsuit, and they came to some agreement, but they didn't release prisoners. But I do believe that earlier on they did. But so much information out there. I know it was in discussion.
Yeah, but there's a lot of places that did release prisoners, right? California definitely did. I believe Florida released some people. You're releasing people, huh?
Florida did.
Yeah, Florida did. So you're releasing criminals, and then the law-abiding citizens, you're looking for ways to lock them up.
Yeah.
And put them in prison. Then you release criminals, and there's people out there smashing things, burning everything up. Even the people. So I've got no problem with people protesting. I wish more gun guys protested. Fine, but the people that are rioting and destroying things, they're getting right out of prison.
Yep. And my question about this whole protesting, rioting thing: what if we had a Second Amendment rally, And we started firebombing places and throwing Molotov cocktails and bricks and everything else. We'd all be shot.
Yeah, you'd be introduced to some black helicopters with machine guns on them real fast.
Yep.
You know, I don't know. This is a weird kind of thing that's going on here. So you lose. And then you don't know if in the law, if you said. So what if you just go like, hey, in my backpack there was a safe. I put it in a safe. I don't know what the criminal did.
They took the safe.
Yeah. You know, is that a defense? I don't know.
I'm yet to see a situation where it's played out that somebody had the safe and it got stolen. And it's only for the handguns. It's not the case for long guns yet. I do anticipate that there will be a bill for long guns, but I think it's harder for them to figure out how to tell somebody you have to have a safe that fits a long gun in your Prius, you know? So they're still working on a way to make that happen. So as that plays out, I can keep you posted, but I'm yet to see a situation where somebody said it was in a safe and it still got stolen. I would argue that it's more likely to get stolen now, mind you, there's no requirement that the safe be mounted to the vehicle in any way, shape, or form. So it doesn't have to be welded down. It doesn't have to be bolted in. So if you have like a little bulldog safe sitting on the front seat versus you had your gun and you threw your coat on top of it, which one's more likely to like trigger a smash and grab? Are they going to grab
the safe?
Right, you know?
Come on. Something valuable's right there.
Right, exactly. So I'm almost like, this makes no sense.
Yeah.
But,
and you can't those safes are not super secure. Come on.
No. Come on.
Yeah.
They throw them down on the ground once and they crack right open.
That doesn't make any sense. So in your home, if someone breaks into your home and steals something, this doesn't apply, right? This is only in the car?
Correct. Vehicle safe storage. Yeah, we have firearms storage if you have a minor in the home, but that's different. You know, if somebody breaks into your house and steals your gun, it's not the same. It's
Yeah, DCG 44 says the car is a safe, which is true. It's safe. It's a locked place.
I don't think so. Actually, no. And even a glove box is not satisfactory unless it's a plastic glove box. Was the verbiage. But yeah, you can't just put it in your glove box. You can't. It's got to be an actual safe.
Wow. And Kermit Loves Bacon says, in Connecticut, an average of 70% of firearm charges get nullified. They are truly worried about stopping crime, or are they truly worried about stopping crime from Kermit Loves Bacon? Wow, 70%?
It's really high. Yeah, unfortunately, that's probably a pretty accurate number. Most individuals who are arrested in this state, so, you know, call a spade. Somebody gets pulled over, a gang member, and they have a standard capacity magazine. They're probably much more likely to have that charge dismissed than if I had a standard capacity magazine as a law-abiding gun owner.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, that's craziness. So the gangbanger who illegally has the gun, you know, they won't do anything to them. Wow. And then I think Kermit Loves Bacon says police and security guards are exempt from storage laws in Connecticut, FYI.
Yeah, what's interesting about that was it just a week and a half ago an officer had his firearm stolen from his vehicle. And the reason why they said that law enforcement didn't need to abide by this law is because they had precautions in place that would make it impossible for it to happen. So,
hold on a second. Can we get in the time machine and go back to the point where it did happen?
Yeah, law enforcement has more guns stolen from them than citizens do.
I know.
Yeah. Wow.
The thing is, and it's not anything about not supporting law enforcement, but it's to say that humans are humans. And a target of a crime is a target of a crime. And it's, you know, and no one person should be on a pedestal above anybody else.
Right.
Exactly.
I 100% agree with you. As a matter of fact, we were going to have our friend JP of Blue Rifle Society come on, he's a police officer in Connecticut. We were going to have him come on tonight, but apparently his wife would not let him out. He's not allowed. The wife put, okay, I'm just making fun of him. I think he's on vacation, and he said he was going to do it, and then his wife was like, no, not on vacation. So
and then he had his gun stolen.
I hope not. But yeah.
conversation. I'd love to chat with him sometime on your show. That'd be great because it's so interesting, this dynamic between gun owners and law enforcement. And I look me up, you'll find that I've written for Law Enforcement Today, which is a big law enforcement media site. And I do very much, I respect those that are willing to put their lives in the line of duty and in danger and all of that stuff. But I think what's really interesting, and I sure hope I phrased this the right way, but gun owners could be their greatest allies. But when you constantly run into problems where the local police department isn't fingerprinting on time, or they're not issuing the documents that they should be doing, or they're making it harder for gun owners to do their thing, we really could have such a tremendous relationship if it wasn't for this. Sometimes this, and this idea sometimes I think comes from our legislators, where this class is put above this class, right? We're all human. We all have the same capacity to handle that firearm. I mean, I think that any avid gun owner is spending more time at the range than your average officer that's just qualifying, given there's exceptions to everything. But man, I would love to see the firearms community and the law enforcement community have more of a dialogue, because there just isn't enough of it. And it's not, I think sometimes we're seen as like these Rambos, and then on the flip side, we kind of sometimes see them as like, elitists, and it doesn't have to be that way. If we could just say, respect me as I respect you. And I certainly, I've been criticized for being too pro law enforcement, but I definitely get it that there's a lot of frustration out there from gun owners when they're treated as lesser than, and it shouldn't be that way. And it's our legislators that often set that up.
Absolutely, I agree with that. I think he's been on in the past, and we've had some of those discussions. I think that's what Lola was trying to set up, that we thought it would have been really interesting to have that. And I know in the past when he's been on, for example, to go along with what you're saying, in Connecticut, law enforcement is, they're exempt from some of these laws that the other, because to me, law enforcement are citizens. They're not like, they're also citizens, but they're exempt from some of the firearms laws that those guys are. So this is kind of weird. And in the light of this, so a citizen in Connecticut, keeps their gun in their car for whatever reason. Someone breaks in there and steals it. They lose their right to defend themselves after that. A police officer does the same thing. They're okay. The police officer can buy this kind of gun. This person can't buy that kind of gun. It shouldn't be that way. If everyone should be subject to that. It's a lot of what we went through here in America when we try to fix healthcare, which I think, okay, maybe there was some room to get it fixed. But when you force everyone to have to go under this thing except the politicians, then you don't fix anything.
You treat the politicians and the police like royalty, while the rest of us are just peasants. That makes that makes it.
Yeah. Puts a bad taste in your mouth.
And you got it. I'm not to make Connecticut out to be as bad as it really is, but Connecticut does not have sheriffs. So the rest of all y'all get to elect some degree of law enforcement. We have no say whatsoever in our state regarding law enforcement. So I think I think there's only 2 states that don't have sheriffs, and we're one of them. I
think Rhode Island's the other state. I could be wrong.
It's bananas, because we don't, like, if you're not happy with something that's going on that is law enforcement related in your county or whatever it may be, you can change that person. Here in Connecticut, so let's say, for example, we can talk for a minute about sanctuaries. So with sanctuary cities, a lot of other areas or other states, their sheriff stepped in and said, we're not going to enforce this. We have no such department that speaks for us. So in the state of Connecticut, if we were to have a sanctuary city, the governor can simply just put state troopers in our town, and that's it. No, there is no law enforcement that we have any say in how they represent us. And I think that makes it harder in the state of Connecticut. And if there's one thing that I think could come out of all of this, whatever side you're on, with it Back the Blue or defund police, whatever. Talk about having some representation in who is your law enforcement, and I think we need to bring the sheriff's department back.
Yeah. Can you are you aware of how Connecticut got rid of the sheriff's department? How did that happen?
It was in the 90s, from what I understand. It was long before my time. I was still watching Tiny Toons, but they made some bad decisions, and back in the 90s, Connecticut got rid of their sheriff's department. So again, guys, we can be a precautionary tale for the rest of America. Like, if you've got some legislator that goes, hey, we could save money, we could defund police if we cut the sheriffs. Let me tell you what it's like 30 years later when you haven't had a voice in law enforcement.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
It's a police state, and it's not any knock on the really good officers that are on the beat. And we have Ccdl members who are officers, and I respect them tremendously, because those are the officers that abide by the constitutional. But when times do get tough, and the law-abiding citizens are ticked off that they don't have a voice, it's because it's been decades that we haven't had a voice.
Yeah, and like you said already, you don't have that ability to fight back by putting up some barricades or whatever and saying this is a sanctuary. I know, like here in Florida, my particular county that I live in is a 2A sanctuary, so I don't know about you guys. I think that is a good thing. At least we have that, like you said, that we could fall back on that if other things happen. At least we know we're not in that fight on our own. Holly, in the time that we have, we got about 15 minutes here. I'll be happy to take questions from people out there if they have it, but I'd like to ask you, we're talking about a lot of the problems here with Connecticut. Can you give us some ideas of things that you would like to see that could maybe turn Connecticut around? Because it's a beautiful state. I like Connecticut, actually, right? So how can we turn that around and make Connecticut great again, so to speak? What can we do to do that?
Answer is that the populace needs to be involved in the elections. It's that simple. The rules that we have are a result of an anti-legislature. If the makeup of the legislature were different and people were putting pressure on the people who are in office, we could change it. We could change a variety of things, not just the Second Amendment issues. It would be fiscal responsibility, all of those things. People have somehow forgotten how powerful we are. They work for us. It's not the other way around. We are not their subjects. We are not their servants. They work for us. So change who sits in that seat. So if it means getting into communities that maybe you haven't been involved in the past, go outside your comfort zone. Look, I get it. A couple of years ago, I would be hard pressed to go knock on doors of people I don't know. Just go do it and make friends with the people that are doing it alongside you, because they're the greatest people you're ever going to meet. But if you want to change the way that the state is going, you have to be involved in the political process. Going to the polls and voting is not enough in a state like this. Going to the polls, voting, and changing 10 more votes with you, that's how you get it done.
Absolutely. That's a good point. What do you guys think? Richard, Dylan, what do you guys think? What do you say to that? Don't everyone speak all at one time.
I think that you're exactly right. And Hank, I heard you say this a few weeks on the show. This election, we hear every 4 years people say this is the most important election of our lifetime. But with recent events, we have got to stack the courts in our favor, because to me that is the route that we've got to stack the courts in our favor. Because that's the only way some of these other states are really going to be able to get a lot of their rights back, just because of the makeup of the legislator.
Yeah, I think. Go ahead, Richard. Did you want to add something here?
Yeah, we got to get out and we got to vote, and we got to get the rhinos and the Democrats out, and it's not only the Supreme Court we need to get justices in. It's the local courts we need to get justices, pro Second Amendment justices in. I'd personally like to see bringing back tar and feathering, but If we can vote them out, that'll work too.
Yeah, I think like Holly said, we need to not just take ourselves out there. We need to try to figure out how to get to wake up other people and activate other people in a state like Connecticut. So I've seen this, Holly. You could tell me if I'm wrong here. A lot of the people I know in Connecticut. So first of all, businesses in the firearms industry, they're suffering. Okay, the Supreme Court is ignoring our plight and not taking up 2A cases, but in the industry, they're suffering. They're like laying off people, cutting back staff. The people who are there working overtime, they can't buy this thing. They're in a state that they're paying a lot of taxes. I know people, as soon as they can retire, they're leaving Connecticut, right? So the people in Connecticut, for example, but around the country that are there, that you can't go anywhere, and even like we said in the beginning of this, where are you going to go? Ultimately, all these people are going to move to those places and mess them up. You have to stand up and fight and resist. You know, one of the things that you could do with this stuff is go, no, I don't care what laws you make. I'm not going to comply with them.
Yeah.
You know, but you have to stand up and fight back and resist this, and don't be complacent to what's going on here. These things, they're basically ruining the country. It seems to me like, and I'm not just trying to say people on the left. I'm incredibly disappointed in what's going on, even in the folks on the right who are supposed to be conservative. They're supposed to be patriots. They're supposed to believe in the Constitution. And I don't see them standing up. And when we're all in a situation where those guys are not standing up, then we have to stand up and we have to say no. If the Supreme Court says we're not going to take up 2A cases, we have to go, okay, this is what you're making us do, because you're not standing up for the Constitution. So we're gonna resist, we're gonna push back, and we're gonna say no to that stuff.
Yeah, I think, and that's where CCDL really is very involved in the election process. If you come to us and say, look, I only have 4 hours to give this entire quarter, I know it's not a lot, we will make the best use of those 4 hours. We can get you in touch with candidates that you can make calls right from the app on your phone. You don't have to knock doors. But if we don't change the way that people are voting in this state, we're never going to change the laws, right? It's truly that simple. And if we can just flip some more seats, we don't have to be afraid every session that we're only going to lose. We can actually start looking forward to pro-2A bills. We have legislators who put forward bills on tax incentives for buying safes. We have legislators that have put forward, all kinds of different ideas on how to make things better for gun owners. We can't carry a firearm in a state park right now, even if a bear attacks us. We can't have our firearm with us. We put forth all kinds of bills to start to try to give gun owners those rights back. But until we support the legislators that support us, we're never going to gain any ground. So for the folks, and I get it, there's a lot of time that's spent, on the computer or watching Netflix or whatever it is. Everybody's got 24 hours in their day. What are you doing to help the cause? Because it's time. If you're at the point where you're so frustrated that, gun rights in this state suck and I'm going to move, well, what did you do to fix it? Like, how far did you go? Because each one of us, if we all did it, we could truly make a difference. And we say all the time, because a lot of the time, and I hate to say it, and I'm sure anybody who's been involved in an organization knows this, people go, your group needs to do this. And we go, okay, well, there's only so much of us, and there's only so much.
You're abdicating your responsibility. What do you, like, not you guys. You guys are obviously out there giving your life to this and fighting. And look, it's great that people support financially. You actually have to get out there and fight. There's things that you can do, even if you can't leave your home. You could share stuff online. You could reach out to people online and help get them activated, or get those people contributing things, or find other people who can do things. We have to do something here. Tell me this, Holly. So in your dealings here, is the Republican Party supporting candidates that are pro Second Amendment, pro Constitution? Okay.
We definitely have some Republicans in this state that don't vote with us, and that's where CCDL is nonpartisan, so we don't really care what party you come from. That's why it's not enough to just look at the party and assume that they vote pro-2A, because in this state they certainly don't. If you come to CCDL, we're going to tell you your legislator and whether they actually supported your gun bills, or if they didn't, whatever, or if they were an anti.
Okay, so you guys have some like Democrats, blue dog Democrats then.
We have had
Mm-hmm.
that. We have had Democrats that are in more rural districts that have voted
Mm-hmm.
or abdicated from. They've conveniently been unavailable,
Mm-hmm.
right? So their
Yeah.
voting record doesn't show that they vote
Mm-hmm.
one way or another. They're conveniently unavailable.
Mm-hmm.
That's what CCDL is really, really put. I mean, we've put hundreds of hours of work into showing so that we can provide a system to people to say, this is how they speak with their vote, not just their words. This
Mm-hmm.
is what they actually do.
Yeah, I think that the folks out there that are fighting you guys are very well organized, very well funded. They've just got a real machine here going for it, and so we've got to decide, what are we going to do here? Kermit Loves Bacon says, ask Holly about the outreach program in Connecticut. So, what's the outreach program?
So the outreach program, I touched on it a little while ago, but
Mm-hmm.
really we have kind of picture like a tree. Essentially, you have a town captain in that town, and that town captain will let us know what's going on in that district. If there's a municipality that's looking to pass an anti-gun ordinance, we pass it up the chain. So just kind of give you an idea of how this went. I'm at a board meeting. Somebody texted me that they got word that at a selectmen's meeting they're trying to pass an anti-gun ordinance. I put it out to outreach. They distribute it down their channel, and boom, within a couple of days' notice, we have hundreds of people showing up to give testimony. So the
Mm-hmm.
quicker the information gets to us, the quicker the outreach team can mobilize it back down to the people in that community so that they can fight it. We are far more powerful than we give ourselves credit for, and I mean gun owners in general.
Mm-hmm.
In the state of Connecticut, it's like if you take out children and felons, 1 in 8 people in this state has their permit. That's a lot of people. That is a strong vote. And if we all used it, and we used it not just at the polls, but to mobilize other people, we're a force to be reckoned with. But people have to get out from behind what they're doing. If it's watching Netflix or hanging out and saying, look, if I can put 4 hours into Netflix, I can put 1 hour into the Second Amendment cause.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely agree with that. Dylan or Rich, do you guys want to interject here? I'm gonna take that as a no.
We're both frozen. That's what it is.
You got to be faster on the draw than that. Armament and Axis says she keeps forgetting to say we can't legally carry. Do you have any idea what that's about? Armament and Axis, you're gonna have to tell us what that means. Are you talking about Holly? Because I'm not sure what exactly you're talking about there. Armament and Axis. So let us know what's up with that. I don't understand that because you can legally carry, right?
You have a permit, you can carry.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm not really sure. And is Armament and Axis in Connecticut? I didn't think he was in Connecticut, so I'm not sure if that's relative or that's like another conversation going on there. So once again, can you tell the folks out there what they can do to help Connecticut Citizens Defense League? How are the ways that they can reach out to you guys? How are the ways that they can help? And also, I'm going to add a new question to this. How can people in their states figure out how to create something like CCDL?
Yeah, so to reach us at ccdl.us is our website. I think you've already shared it with us at our Facebook page and our Facebook group. Email me, president@ccdl.us. We could always use donations. I'm not going to beat around the bush. We're involved in legislation, when we're involved in litigation, it gets tremendously expensive. So any donations are tremendously appreciated. But I realize not everybody can. So if it's your time, you don't have to be in the state of Connecticut to be a member. Get involved. If we submit testimony, help us with submitting testimony to the legislature when a bill comes up, we will send you action alerts if something's going on. So when we need help from our membership, an email comes out and it says action alert. And keep an eye out for those. But you'll get them by signing up on our website at ccdl.us. Okay. And then what was your last question again?
Well, the other thing is, for let's say the folks are out there and in their state there isn't something like CCDL, how do they figure out how to do that or start something like that so they can fight back in their state?
Yeah, definitely. So, I mean, if you Google it, you're probably going to find the organization. So Virginia Citizens Defense League, Arizona Citizens Defense League, there's a whole bunch of us out there. When we do talk, I've kept in touch with Philip when everything was going on down in Virginia, and it's interesting to share ideas. really just go out and hit to the internet. And if you find that you can't find something, just email me and I'll find it for you, especially as a member of the DC Project. That's 50 women from 50 states. I literally have a network of like the most amazing women in America. Not trying to be biased, but they're absolutely phenomenal. So we have 50 women in 50 states. If you can't find your state level organization, email me. I'll find it and get back to you.
Absolutely. Yeah. We're very proud of what you got, of what the DC Project is doing, what you're doing. And I'm happy to have a woman from every single state come on here and represent. But people from any state, if you're trying to do something like this and you're trying to represent, you want to come on here and talk about it and see what we can do to help you out. Armament and Axes, I still don't know what you're talking about. So he says that he's in Ohio. Congratulations to you. You're in Ohio. I still don't know what you meant. So you're going to have to like clarify that at some point here. Okay, so listen, let's do this. We're at the 9 o'clock hour. I think this has been pretty great. We got a lot of information out of Holly, and we figured she told us there how you guys can keep in touch with her. Let's do this with Rich. Rich, how can the folks keep up with you? You know, let's say they want to know like where your lawn is, so they can come up on your lawn. You know.
Well, if you want to come up on my lawn, you look up Hank Strange.
No. Don't do it.
And you crash down his gate.
No, don't crash down my gate.
You can go to my website, bwefirearms.com. I'm also on, let me see if I can get this.
Mm-hmm.
Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Vines.
Mm-hmm.
What else is there?
Parlor. I don't know if you're on Parlor. Yeah.
Gunstreamer, and they're all a variation of BWE Firearms. You put in BWE Firearms, and my ugly puss show up.
All right. Thanks. There you go. So let's go to young Dylan. You got to angle your camera down here a little bit so we can all see. Oh, there you go. All right. So, Dylan, how can the folks keep in touch with you? Because I'm guessing you still haven't come up with social media or anything like that.
Yeah,
that's right. And now I got some of my other friends are on me to be on it now, so I'm being forced to be on Instagram pretty soon.
Right, yeah.
So anytime, my name's DillSpec816 in the chat. If you hear me ever, sometimes I comment, but if you ever want to call the store that I work at, Everything Can Still Carry in Louisville, Kentucky, for any of your firearms or ammo needs, please feel free to. I know there's a lot of places you can buy guns and ammo from, and you're always welcome to call me just to say hi if you want to. I answer the phone a lot. Our number is 502-657-8488. And I will be getting an Instagram very soon. It's just not right now.
Yeah, and make sure when you go in there, make sure you get that Dill Spec discount. That's what I would do. Get that discount from Dill Spec. Okay, listen, I want to thank everyone. Holly, thanks so much for coming on. This has been great. Any final words that you want to get out here to the folks before we get out of here?
Really just, let your guard down. It's 2020. You never know what's right around the corner. And if you think you live in a safe state and your Second Amendment rights are safe, you'd be surprised what things could look like in a couple of years. So keep in touch with groups like mine, and you'll see what's happening here, so that you can be prepared if it comes your way. And give us a hand, if possible. If you can throw us a couple dollars, that's awesome. But even if not, point people our direction. If you've come across somebody on vacation, they're from Connecticut, have you heard about Ccdl?
Absolutely.
So keep the word out.
Absolutely. Thanks so much. Okay, guys, we're going to get out of here. I want to remind you about Harry's Holsters. You can use the code HankStrange and get 10% off at Harry's Holsters. Thanks so much for joining us here. Everyone stay right there. I'm going to run the end. Where is it? There we go. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. Ring the bell so you can be notified every time we go live. We're going to rip the audio out from this and throw it up on iTunes and other places that you can get your audio podcasts. Thanks so much to our guests here, Holly Sullivan of Ccdl for coming on, Rich from BWE Firearms, Dylan, Dill Spec for coming on today. We had a great time. We will see you guys. We're out of here. Anyone else has any final words before I press the button? Anyone else?
Support your gun channels on Patreon if you can, because YouTube is doing everything they can to kick them off.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. We're out of here. We'll see you guys. Thanks.